is the new WWE. The referees, what? The regular referees has pulled out KORDERAS. The striking referees are attacking KORDERAS.
Hello again, everybody, and welcome to an all-new episode of Road Trip After Hours. I'm your host, MacDavis, along with my WWE Hall of Famer co-host, Mr. Teddy Long. Hey, Teddy, how you doing, brother?
Well, I'm good, player. Here we are again. Another great episode of Road Trip After Hours. And, Mac, we got a great guy on here today, a guy that I had the opportunity to spend half of my career with. And, I mean, was always such a nice guy. I mean, I love this man to death. And so we ain't going to waste no time with him. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to open up this thing with my man, Jimmy KORDERAS, WWF referee, WWE referee, just everybody's all around town, man. Jimmy KORDERAS, thank you for coming on, players.
No, I appreciate you having me on, man. I wouldn't miss this for the world, Teddy. It's so great to see you again. I appreciate you saying those kind words, but you were always kind and gracious to me, my friend, and I always appreciated that. We had a special kind of bond.
Now, let me ask you, because you're talking about how well y'all got along, but I went out the promo for this show. I included a little video clip where you were trying to make a 3 count in the ring, Jimmy, and it seemed right before you got to count number 3, the other referees who were highly pissed off with you about something pulled you out the ring and beat the crap out of you. First of all, when I watched that promo, the first thing I saw was, how many stiff shots did you take? Because we're talking about these guys all on top of you they don't really have that experience, and they are kicking the crap out of you, it looks like.
Well, that was the infamous scab referee angle where,
yes.
I'm trying to make a long story short, but I had just gotten married and I asked JR if I could take some time off to go on a honeymoon. And he said, sure, take it 2 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever you want. So I took a couple of weeks off, and while I was away, they ran this angle where the referees went on strike because they were protesting that they were being abused by the talent, by the wrestlers. Yep. And they were protesting outside. So they had people like Tom Pritchard and Brooklyn Brawl, all these people, downtown Bruno, yep, refereeing matches. And when I got back from my honeymoon, I walked into the locker room and all the guys were, hey, how you doing? And stuff like that. And I run into Hunter, and he used to call me Corduroy. That was his nickname for me. He says, hey, Corduroy, welcome back. How was the honeymoon? I said, it was great. Fantastic. I feel great. He says, too bad you're out of a job when you come back now. Ha, ha, ha. Now, I hadn't processed because I was on my honeymoon and I wasn't watching wrestling because I want to stay married.
Yes.
I'm not doing that on my honeymoon, right? And so as an offhanded joke, I just said to Hunter, you know what? I can't afford to go on strike, Hunter. I just got married. Ha, ha, ha. And he laughed and he went, come with me. And he brought me right to JR, and he says, JR, KORDERAS had a great idea. And I'm thinking, what great idea did I just have? I don't know what you're going to be the only regular referee to continue working and cross the picket line.
Ooh.
And then at the pay-per-view during the 6-pack challenge, that's when all the other refs came out, what looked like was going to be the finish, dragged me out of the ring, and they pushed me around. They pushed me and spin me around, and Earl gives me the shot where I go down, and then everybody just gangs up. And I didn't know what was going on. It was the guys were pretty good. Let me put it that way, except for one guy I owe a few receipts to, Mike Chioda. It'll come back one day. Because when I watched it back afterwards, of course, you have to watch it back.
Yep.
And I wanted to see who was stiffing me so hard. Like his foot, I felt like I was in the proctologist's office. He was hitting me so hard. I'm going, dude, I ease up whoever that is. And then I watched it back and he's winding up like he's kicking a 50-yard field goal. So I told him, Mike, one day, it'll come around.
Now, Teddy, you were one of the ones kicking. Do you remember this, getting in there? You were kind of in the very back, and you just kind of would pop your foot in once in a while. You didn't get in there and really lay it into him, but you were getting your shots in, it looked like. Do you recall that?
Well, yeah, I recall that. Like I said, I was just trying to do what I was supposed to do and just stay out of the way.
Yeah, Vince told me to kick the hell out of him, so I did.
Well, that's it.
Jimmy, I know you've had a lot of experiences in the ring, and Teddy and I enjoy when we get a referee that comes on with us on the show. And the reason for that is, and Teddy will tell you, I say this all the time, I believe you have more visual and knowledge of the product that we see on TV than most anybody else really on that entire staff and crew. You're in there with the guys. You have to go over the finishes. You have to be there in the case of an emergency. You see and hear a lot, and you stand in the middle of that ring unnoticed most times. Are there times when you're in there when you feel like the shine really hits on you and you get, uh-oh?
You try to not do that. That's the whole thing. That's the thing I tell young referees nowadays. And my philosophy is the referee is supposed to be invisible until he needs to be visible. You're there to help the boys tell their story and not be the story, unless you're involved in, let's say, a ref bump or something like that, whatever the case may be, a distraction spot. But again, the distraction spot should be something that gets the heat, not on the referee. It shouldn't look awkward. It should be manipulating the referee to do something behind his back, as opposed to just going, "Oh, go stand over there for like a couple of minutes while I do a low blow or something like this." There's an art form to it, and plus, the referee is the conduit between the talent and the gorilla position, who's constantly, as you know, Teddy, they're constantly in your ear. Tell them this, tell them that, tell them this, give them the times, tell them the time to go home. But you're also communicating between the talent back and forth. Okay, tell them to get up and feed in for a clothesline or something, whatever the case may be. So you're doing all that, but you have to do it in a way that's discreet.
Yes.
And it looks like it's in the process of you doing your referee job, whether you're checking on a talent who's down or something like that, as opposed to walking over and going, blatantly, 5 to go.
And I wanted to mention this too, Korderas and God rest his soul, Tim White, Jack Doan, Mike Yoda, those guys were really a lot of help to me when I came into the WWF, because I hadn't refereed in a while. I was managing in WCW with Butch Reed and Ron Doom and Sid Vicious and many others, and so I hadn't been in the ring refereeing in quite some time. But my thing was this: I didn't mind, switching, going back to refereeing. All I want to do is have a job and get a paycheck. So I'll let God take care of my future, and so that's how all that happened. And I remember Korderas is why I love him so much today, man, because me and him was always been friends. And he told me one time, he said, "Teddy, long after you came up GM, you never changed." Because some guys get that power, they go to looking at you like they never seen you before. Yeah. So, but I'm just let them know, man, I don't forget where I come from. Why should you change? I never understood it myself.
Jimmy, you said something. I'm going to go back to something you said a minute ago. I kind of got the impression that you believe, and I've listened to enough of your shows because I do tune into the wrestling rant and other things that you do. So, but here is something that does drive me crazy, and I know it drives you crazy as well, is that the referees now are almost, unlike what you were trying to say a moment ago, be invisible, but be there when they're needed. The referees now are in full view of things going wrong in the ring, where they see everything. There's no more, the rule breaking is really not there anymore because the referee doesn't seem to have any power in some places. AEW has been really bad about that, where they just get to the point where it seems like it doesn't matter if the referee is there, just do your business and make it look good.
Yeah, I feel that way. Sorry, go ahead, Teddy.
Now, go ahead, Jimmy, because right quick, what I was going to say, just when you just got to hearing Jimmy Korderas explain everything to you, what a referee's job is, what his responsibilities is, why ain't this man right here in AEW or NXT with teaching a class on refereeing? I mean, that's what I think is wrong now. Nobody's telling these guys what to do. I think that it's like on-the-job training. It was like back when I was back in the NWA. Nobody told me I had to learn on my own. But Korderas, with all his experience, to sit down and to listen to him and explain how simple this can be, that's what they need now. So I don't understand why anybody using that.
Jimmy, does it still drive you crazy to see that?
Yeah, the problem is because, like Teddy said, wearing the striped shirt for so many years and the nice blue shirt, I always love that SmackDown blue for some reason. I can't unsee it. I notice things that maybe the average fan, the casual fan, will not see. For example, false finishes. A referee's count, when he's counting in the ring, unless he's selling something from a bump or something, the cadence should be the same throughout the entire match. It doesn't matter if it's the beginning of the match, a close false finish, or the finish of the match. Unfortunately, today you see referees changing their cadence. There are some who have a blatant tell that it's not going to be the finish on a good false finish, that where people are biting, but I look at it and I go, I knew that wasn't the finish.
Yeah.
I want to be surprised too, because I watch it as a fan and I want to be surprised and I want to take in the product and enjoy it. But when I see something and I go, I knew that wasn't the finish. And people say, well, what was the tell? I don't want to tell it. Yes, we've been peeling back the curtain and breaking down that fourth wall a lot lately. Yeah. But if I tell you what it is, then you won't be able to unsee it. Now you're going to notice it too. And I don't want to do that.
One more thing, and then I'm going to throw it back over to Teddy. The 3 count. Do you feel like the 3 counts have become lazy?
I don't know if the word is lazy. It's just like, I don't know how to put it into words correctly. It's just, they're there. Yeah. And that's it. It's not, there's no build to it. Like what's wrong with having a match where they start off the first pinfall attempt before the referee even makes it all the way down, kick out.
Yes.
Then the next one could be a 1 count, then build to a 2 count, then a 2.5, and then 1. Oh, he just barely kicks out. Build up to it, build that suspension,
See how simple that is? Just tell me a story.
Yes.
Yes.
See, and that's Jimmy KORDERAS. Here's a man with all this experience and nobody wants it.
I think, unfortunately, Teddy, and I've heard a lot of stories from others, and, obviously I'm not there in the locker room to see it, especially in other places, which I will remain nameless because I've been labeled I've been labeled the anti-AEW guy, and they don't understand these people. But I'm just making a critique. I want them to succeed. I want them to be a viable place for other talent to go work and make a decent living doing what we love to do. I'm not trying to tear down.
I've said for a long time that the biggest problem at AEW is the inability to handle the constructive criticism given to them by the professionals who know. You've got to take that criticism. You've got to just take the information and use it. But instead, it's seen as an insult. And I've seen people who deliver those comments about the shows and ways to make it better. And they come across just being honest and saying, hey, look, this is a place you might want to tighten up a little bit. And even something that nice still is being looked at as, oh, he doesn't like the show. Him, it's just gotten to the point where it's gotten really sad and where you just almost don't even want to waste your breath, offering advice to anybody anymore in that particular organization.
Yeah. And look at the great minds they have backstage.
Oh, God,
as producers and agents and that sort of stuff. Why isn't anybody taking advantage of all this experience that they have? That's incredible to me, especially someone like an Arn Anderson, because I have a problem with the tag matches there. It almost feels like every tag team match down there, just make it a Texas Tornado match and let the referee stand in the corner until the finish happens. Yeah, that's how it feels.
I don't think Arn's there anymore, Jimmy.
Oh no.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think Arn is gone now. I think he left from the back. But and you hear a lot of those veterans who are there or have been there. They will tell you the same thing. The talent in the back really isn't listening. They just like, yeah, whatever. This is different now. You're an old guy. Move on.
Well, you can stop that. You can stop that right there. If you're any kind of boss or if you're an authority figure, you can stop all that, but you won't listen.
Well, there's the problem.
You don't want to listen. How about you go home and when you let me know you're ready to listen, give me a call back.
And that's the problem. Even as CM Punk just recently, yesterday or the day before, he was on a podcast with Ariel Helwani, and he was kind of commenting that there's no boss backstage. The boss is not being the boss, and somebody needs to be a boss.
Yeah, and that's why I don't watch it. I don't want no parts of it. That's why I don't care what they say about me. They need me. I don't need them.
See, and that's the difference. The thing that Punk brought up, that's the difference between being a boss and trying to be everybody's pal. Yes, you can be cordial with the people who work for you, but there's a time where you have to lay down the law. You can't let the inmates run the asylum.
No.
Yeah.
You have to take charge. Back in the day, Teddy, the man who shall be nameless now because of all the stuff that's going on. But I'll say it. Vince McMahon.
You. Yeah.
No, I'll say it. Vince McMahon.
Right.
You knew he was the boss. He was there to give you criticism when you needed it. He patted you on the back when you deserved it. And he was there to help you. And he helped his product. And right or wrong, whatever his decisions were with whatever he was presenting on television, whether you liked it or not, he was the boss and you knew it. Yes, he was friendly with certain talents that he became closer to, but at the same time, there was that distinction.
He still ran the company.
Yes. There's got to be somebody there that has the final say, and that nobody,
Right.
is going to change their minds based off that final say. And there's just not that individual in AEW right now. I think Tony Khan, I think he means well. I think he wants his product to do well as much as every wrestling fan out there. We all want to see it do well. But that means having to open your ears a little bit sometimes and listen, and sometimes may even get a kick in the butt sometimes when you need it. But in the end, we all care about the product and want everyone to succeed.
Exactly. And again, not to do the Barry Horowitz thing and pat myself on the back, but I've been privileged over the years to sit under some wonderful learning trees.
Yes.
From way back to Hulk Hogan's days, through the Attitude Era, the Ruthless Aggression Era, just a list of the names that I got to sit in the locker room and work with them and just pick their brains. And listen, and them saying why, I would ask questions. What do you need me to do? Why? Tell me the reason, because I want to know why you want me there so I could help you.
See what I'm talking about? See what I'm talking about right there? And I'm so glad Jimmy brought that up, because a lot of people don't understand that part of it. Having to be able to talk to somebody like a Jimmy Korderas that were in there with your Andre the Giants or your Hulk Hogan's, your Ultimate Warriors, your big time stars, people that drew money and made a name. These guys were right there with them. I had had the chance to be a part of that Attitude Era. So it's just great, man, that Jimmy is still, giving his advice, to people, and somebody's going to listen. Somebody's going to take that advice and listen, because there's nothing but the truth. And it's so simple. That's what gets me, just how simple it is. How hard is you for not to do it?
Yeah, it's the little. I'm sorry to cut you off there, Matt.
No, that's all right.
It's the little things that matter, that everybody. Unfortunately, a large portion of the audience, of the hardcore audience, I hate to label them, but the hardcore audience are the ones that want they want the fast and furious crash television, and they get lost in the little nuances that they, whether it's a subtle facial expression that somebody puts on TV, and they forget the fact that, yes, you can do a twisting, burning 450 hammer Phoenix splash, and then somebody kicks out of it. So what the heck does it mean? It means absolutely nothing. Back in the day, look at the DDT, for example. The DDT has been prostituted so bad. Nobody ever kicked out of Jake the Snake's DDT. It never happened. And if you were going to try, you were going to hear it too.
Well, name a real finisher now, Jimmy.
I wish I could. The roll-up. The roll-up has become the most deadly move in wrestling.
We could go on all day. We're running out of time. Jimmy, real quick.
Take as much time as you want with me. I'm on your time.
Any road trip stories you can share as your time with WWE?
Where do I begin?
We need a blast. We need a real good one too, Jimmy.
Where do I begin? There are all sorts of, everything from traveling overseas to do the tribute for the Troop deal and all that sort of stuff was incredible. It was an honor to be asked to go over there, and traveling on the road, you form relationships with guys in your car.
Yes,
Teddy, the car that you traveled in, and for a long time there, it was myself. I hate to mention him, but I'm going to mention him anyways. Tony Chimmel, who Larry Heck kind of nicknamed us Waldorf and Stadler. That was a deal. So I always drove because I'm a terrible passenger. I don't like to sit in the passenger seat. I like to be there. And back in the day, I had a bad habit of smoking ciggies, So I would have my Marley Lights and my Pepsi and my radio. I'd put it on whatever 70s station I could find, because I love 70s music.
Same here.
I'm an old school guy. And, in the back, usually it was Larry Heck, and every once in a while somebody would hop in like a hornswoggle. One time we were driving, and I don't remember where we were going. We were in the middle of nowhere, and we get a flat. So, all the bags are in the trunk, and you got to dig in there and pull out the tire.
Oh, God,
and,
yes.
So Larry and I are out there busting our butt, getting the bags out, pulling out the tire, jacking up the car, taking off the nuts and stuff like that. And all of a sudden we're hearing all these trucks going, we're way off the highway. What the heck's going on? We look over, And we see Tony and Hornswoggle at the side of the road trying to get the trucks, trying to get the trucks to honk. We're over there busting our ass trying to fix a flat tire. And they're on the highway going, and Larry is losing it. You know, Larry's a calm guy, but he's losing it. And I'm getting hot too, but I'm like trying to play, okay, Larry, take it easy. Take it easy. He says, let's go. Just leave him. Let's go. So it was this close. We were going to leave him on the side of the road.
You're going to pull a Teddy on him.
You want to do this? Now stick the thumb out and hitchhike somewhere back to the temple.
Yeah. Right, man.
Jimmy, tell us where you have you've got so many different shows. So I know there's 2 that I watch. So how many in all are you doing currently per week?
A couple. I'm doing the Wrestling Inc. podcast on Monday nights after Raw and Wednesday nights after Dynamite, which means I have to watch Dynamite on Wednesday. No, I'm kidding. It's hey,
I get it.
No, there's stuff with everything. There's stuff I like. There's stuff I
still watch it. I mean, it's we were saying a while ago, we were kind of, poking at it a little bit and just bringing out the truth. But the fact is, I still watch it. I watch it every single week. Just do.
I do too. And you know what? I'm a wrestling fan still to this day because Bruno Sammartino gave me some great advice one day. Oh, if you got a minute for a quick road story.
Sure.
So back in the day when they used to run Maple Leaf Gardens every 3 weeks, they used to run the Brantford Civic Center, which is about an hour and 15, an hour 20 outside of Toronto. And they do 3 weeks worth of taping for a wrestling challenge back in the day. So one of my first jobs with Jack Tunney when I first started was he'd have 2 minibuses. One would be for the heels, one would be for the baby faces. But on this trip, I ended up taking the managers and the on-air inter-commentating team.
Yeah.
So in this van, and I'm losing it. I'm going like, this is incredible. Like I've got Classy Freddie Blassie sitting beside me. Behind me is Bruno Sammartino, Lou Albano, Mr. Fuji's in the van, Gorilla Monsoon. I'm going, this is the greatest thing ever. I'm about to, do 100 miles an hour here uncontrollably. And, Bruno was nice, always pleasant, very, hello, how are you? Nice to see you again, and that sort of stuff. But he never really had conversations. And then he just struck up a conversation out of the blue. So, Jimmy, how long have you been working for Jack and all this stuff? And I'm answering his questions. I'm thinking, this is the greatest thing ever. Bruno Sammartino is asking about me. He says, would you like a piece of advice? I said, yes, absolutely, sir. He goes, get out. I go, pardon me? Just get out of the business because once it gets in your blood, it'll never leave you.
That's
and he's
truth.
right. And he was absolutely right. The other guys were, Bruno, leave the kid alone. Come on. Oh, I'm just trying to help him out. Good thing I didn't take that advice, at least. Anyways.
That's a great story. I'm glad you stopped us for that. Tell me, and where else? Go ahead, Teddy.
And that's the other thing, too, before we let Jimmy go, too. I was thinking about just that story he just told there and told us how he was right there in the van with all those guys.
Legends.
So what I think now, too, and I'm going to say that to the fans and the people that are watching our show here, is that I think they need to do something with the referees. I don't know why they won't have a referees Hall of Fame and put these people like Jimmy Korderas, Mike Chioda, Jack Doan, Timmy White, and many others, that are out there that did all that great work in this business, Tommy Young and so forth. So if you fans agree with me, I think if we could get something started, to get to the WWE and let them know, man, these guys here deserve some recognition too.
I agree. Totally agree. Even way before the celebrities. And we're talking about the guys that are in the business over those who aren't. So
we appreciate it very much. Yeah. And we also do a podcast called Reffing It Up with, as I like to call him, Good Brother in Stripes, Brian Hebner. And a fellow by the name of RJ, who holds our glue together. He's the guy who pushes all the buttons because us old technologically disadvantaged guys can't handle that stuff. Yep. So we do a once a week podcast where we have a lot of fun just bringing guests on, and maybe we'll have you on, Teddy, if you're willing.
No, brother, anytime you guys like to talk to me, just let me and Mac know, and we're there, man.
Oh, awesome. That sounds great. And again, as you mentioned, Mac, I do a little thing that on my social media platforms that I call the Ref and Rant, where from Monday to Friday, I do a minute and maybe a little bit, just little critiques and sometimes just some positivity, but giving a little things out there where I like to say, tighten the screws. And it's not meant to tear down, like you said. No. It's meant to help, maybe give some advice to somebody that can help somebody out.
Absolutely. And they always are. They're always a more of a positive type of blip, is how I say it, because they're short. They're only, what, a couple minutes long, if that?
Not even. Not even a minute to a minute and a half. I don't want to go too much further because the attention span nowadays is not what it used to be.
True. Yeah,
That's
we lost everybody at hello earlier. So, you know, Jimmy, thank you so much for being on the show with us today, man. I reached out to you and immediately you said yes. And I certainly appreciate you agreeing to be with us this week.
No, I appreciate you guys asking. This was a lot of fun. I wish we can go on some more. And Teddy, it's a pleasure seeing you again, my friend.
Yeah.
If, I don't know. Are you going to be in the Philly area?
I'm going to be there for WrestleCon. I'll be there. Will you be there?
Well, I'm going to be at the Busted Open party, the Sirius satellite radio show Busted Open with Dave LaGreca and Bully and Mark.
What night is that?
No, it's Saturday afternoon.
I don't know. Once I get there and find out, what's going on, then I'll let you know. But I'll be in Philly. I'm there.
Those are fun parties too. The Busted Open parties are a blast. I was there last year and the year before. I've been in just about every one of them since they've had them for the last several years since New York. And they're always a lot of fun to go to. Let me ask you real quick, Jimmy. I know we're desperately out of time, but there was an image of you with a badge on.
Oh,
explain this to me. What was like? Are you going out for a TV show? What is that?
No, I did a little acting last few years before the COVID pandemic. I was just branching out a little bit, trying to have expand my horizons, so to speak. And I got a few acting gigs where I was in this particular one. I played a detective in a show called Web of Lies, and it wasn't a speaking role, but it was more of a background thing. Which I'm good at. That's like referees do. We stay in the background.
That's right. Hey, but I still notice. See, that's how it works. You stay in the background, but you still get noticed.
And let me say this before we get out of here, man, because I'll never live it down. And we were talking about referees going into the Hall of Fame. We can't forget about Earl and Dave Hebner. Now, Dave, boy, they'd have hunted me down like Fox. Okay.
No, they were two of my.
And these guys here were certainly a part of the start of my career, me and Earl Hebner. So we can't forget about them two guys.
No, absolutely, and they were awesome. They were mentors to me. Then I couldn't thank them.
Yes,
there's not enough thank yous I can give them. And
me neither, man.
Me neither. Do you have time for one more quick story?
Yeah, of course.
But do you remember the infamous twin referee angle?
Yes.
How can you forget it with Hogan and not? I was there that night at the main event, and nobody had smartened any of us up to it. Oh, we didn't know what was going on. None of the referees. So I'm watching the ring. I'm watching the match on the monitor in the back. I'm right beside the little station there that has the drinks and the water and the coffee and all that stuff. I'm going, wow, Dave looks good. He looks like he's lost some weight. Awesome. So I'm watching the match, and I turn around just to grab a little coffee, and I see Dave behind me hiding. And I look at him, I look at the screen, I look back at him, and I didn't clue into Earl. It didn't click into me right away.
Yep.
And he goes to me, shh. He just goes like that. And I went, okay. I'm going to watch this stuff. And I just thought it was.
That's a great experience back there too. I can just imagine turning around, thinking that the guy that you're watching in the ring is, busy, and you turn around and there he is right in your face going,
yeah, exactly.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this week. Our special guest has been, of course, Mr. Korderas, Jimmy Korderas, and of course, WWE Hall of Famer Teddy Long. I'm your host, MacDavis, and this has been Road Trip After Hours. We'll see you again next week.
There's only one way to do this, and it goes a little something like this. Hey, hey!